So do you maintain your cast iron cookware differently if you cook different types of food? That's a question that I've been asked on this channel many times. Hey, I cook this way, should I do things differently? I don't have those answers because I cook the way that I cook, and I don't cook a wide range of types of food. I cook on a plant-based standard. But I do have a friend and a customer of mine who lives here locally who cooks differently than I do. We cook similarly in that we focus on whole foods, but the kind of focus of what we do is different. And so I went to see him to discuss, what do you do for maintaining your good quality cast iron and carbon steel that may be different than me, that we can all learn from. So I hope you enjoy this conversation between me and my friend Mike Rogers, where we go over how he maintains his Stargazer cast iron and his new Dubai egg pans. Okay, so Mike, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, my friend Mike Rogers. I've asked Mike to be here, as I said in the introductory video, because we focus on cooking the same type of food, as in from health-based, started from scratch, all whole, but he cooks meat. I don't cook meat. I talk a lot about cooking on this channel and maintaining our cookware from my perspective, where I'm not cooking meat. I get a lot of questions on this channel of like, hey, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? I don't have those answers specifically. I do rely on my friend Uncle Scott from Uncle Scott's YouTube channel. But I wanted to talk with Mike specifically today about how he maintains his beautiful cookware. He is a Stargazer fan, so I wore my newest Stargazer shirt today.
I want one of those.
And we're gonna talk about how he maintains his cookware, because he has become quite a cookware aficionado. He loves his cast iron and his newest carbon steel. And he does a tremendous job on looking after it. And we talk in a lot of detail offline about what he's doing and all his methods. So I thought today was a great opportunity for us to get together and go through what he does from A to Z and looking after his cookware. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first off, tell me about your favorite seasoning method. I see some of your own personal seasoning paste here. So what do you do to look after pre and post?
So I watched all your videos. That's how I learned how to take care of them. My wife does have some dietary restrictions just with food. She's dairy free, wheat free, gluten free, all that. So her oil of choice is olive oil. Okay. So that seems to work really well for her. We followed your instructions as well, and we made our own paste with olive oil and beeswax. We do a lot of soap in that, so we always have beeswax in the house. I do candles as well, so we made our own kind of paste for when I want to put it in the oven, do a heavy seasoning. So we cook. When we're done cooking, I look at it like it's like meditation for me. When my wife's talking to me, I'm like, oh, I'm meditating, because I'm cleaning all the cast iron. So we have the chainmail that we got from you, and I love it. Just to scrape out, to remove the any chunks or any stuff on food. It's just hot water. We just use hot water in the chainmail to clean it out.
So no soap.
No soap at all. We haven't used soap on any of these. We'll talk about my brother-in-law later. Okay. So hot water and the chainmail, and then I just take a paper towel and wipe it all out, dry it off, and then I put it on the stovetop, put some olive oil in it, just gently wipe the olive oil around there, and then just gently heat it up until it smokes a little bit, and then I turn it down, and then I just turn it off, and we leave it. So we're very thorough. Every day we don't leave food in there. We don't leave it on the stovetop. We make sure we take care of it. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's great that olive oil is working well for you. So some people on this channel will know that I say, don't use olive oil. And just to be clear, that I've tried to be clear about before with olive oil, is that, obviously what you're doing is working well. Your pans are looking excellent. They are shiny, and there's no carbon buildup, and they're looking tremendous. And so with olive oil, that Mike and I have talked about, but just to be clear, olive oil can be problematic if you cook at quite a high heat with it often. Because of the olive oil can be, Mike looks like he has a nice neutral type olive oil here that's fairly thin. Some olive oils come that are very...
It's fresh olive oil from Tofia. We just got back from Italy.
Yeah, and it looks wonderful. Yeah. But some olive oil that you'll buy in the store can be very, very green, and it can have a lot of fruitiness to it. No olive oil that is quite neutral like this to even thinner. Like I suggest sometimes people, they buy olive oil from Costco if they're going to for the cooking olive oil, if they want to use olive oil, because of the thinness to it, and that seems to not have any issues. But I have had people have problems over time when they're using olive oil that is very green, and then they're getting flaking. The olive oil, it has for whatever reason, it has a lower burn temp, and it starts to carbonize quite quickly, and then they're getting flaking, and they're like, where's all this flaking come from? Get rid of the olive oil, go to a grapeseed or a sunflower seed oil, and then that's the problem goes away. So that's why, just from when people are starting, I say don't use olive oil. But obviously what you're doing is working well, you're hitting the right heats, everything's working well. So the caveat to don't use olive oil is if you want to use olive oil, just get the right olive oil and don't overheat your pans. Right? So awesome. Okay, so question number 2 for you. What type of foods do you cook with that are harmful or helpful to cooking? So for your seasoning specifically, what helps your seasoning, and what do you find you really have to put time into your seasoning once you finish cooking?
So what's helpful for our seasoning, we cook a lot of bacon. We do a lot of ground beef as well. So it's not, there's fat content in there. So we're cooking it with the ground beef. We cook a lot of eggs as well. So with the eggs, we're just using a lot of olive oil before we cook the eggs. Even though my wife has a dairy allergy, I like butter. So I like to cook my eggs with butter, and it doesn't seem to have any issue with cross-contamination with my wife.
Okay. And do you find, does olive oil or butter work better for you when you're cooking eggs?
Well, both. They're still, you can do this with a pan and the eggs slide around. They slide around. I like the butter. I had to learn how to cook on these because I find if the pan's not heated up fully and I'm trying to do a scrambled, it sticks. Right. Olive oil or butter, if it's not heated up, it sticks. So,
so it's not a fat issue; it's a heating.
It's a heating issue. So then I heat it up higher. So then when I put my eggs in there, and I have to be careful because if I'm using butter, if I heat it up too much and put the butter in there, it's going to burn. So I've got like a perfect temperature, and then I put them in there, and yeah, they slide around. It's totally fine.
What do you find that a oil butter mixture helps with your butter not burning? Do you ever kind of bathe your butter in your oil?
No.
Okay.
No, I've never tried that. So that's something to try.
Yeah.
We do if the pan has not been cleaned, I'll clean it, I'll oil it, I'll heat it up and go through the whole process, and then I'll cook my eggs with butter. So I've got it dialed in. I don't have a problem with my eggs sticking at all. So I haven't had an issue now that I know how to cook on it.
So a little side note away from the questions that we had talked about. You've got some egg pans, Dubai egg pans. How are you finding using, say, your Stargazer 10-inch comparatively to using those guys? How are you finding for non-stickability? Because this is specifically an egg pan, is why I bought it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So I love the Stargazer. It's my choice for eggs. I got the omelet pans because I wanted to give them a try, and I wanted to take all Teflon out of the kitchen, just because if these were dirty or used, my wife would just grab the Teflon, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like, my friend Jed's gonna not be happy with you. so then I got these, so these are a backup for my wife, and with these ones I find you just have to use a lot more oil. So if I'm cooking eggs on them, I have to use a lot more butter or olive oil to make sure, and they're still new, so
they look great. You've seasoned them well, but they're quite a new pan, so that seasoning is not very thick yet.
I've only cooked on them like 2 or 3 times, so so I have to use a lot of oil in them. But if I use a lot of oil, they're not going to stick at all. But again, I'm loving the Stargazer, so that's my go-to. If that's clean, that's what I'm going to use for my eggs.
Nice. All right, so when something is harsh to your seasoning, and you've got like quite a bit of buildup on there, what's your method?
Okay, well, I email Jed.
Help?
No, so I did cook a tomato pasta sauce in the 13-inch, and I had read online, tomato, the acidity can affect the taste can be affected by the iron, and it can also affect my coating. So I only did that the once, and it wasn't too bad because I didn't leave it simmering for a long time. But when I did that, then I would just go back to, I clean it off again, hot water and the
chainmail.
Thanks. The chainmail. And then I would use my paste. So that's when I would do my paste. I'd warm it up in the oven. That's when I'd set it up in the oven. I'd warm it up in the oven, put paste on top and bottom, and then just bake it in the oven. And I found that kind of brought my base seasoning back again. So I'm very careful with what I cook in there. Again, it's going to be bacon. It's going to be ground beef. We cook a lot of eggs in there. If we're doing any vegetables, beans or spinach, then again, there's just lots of oil in there. But I avoid anything that's going to be like going to damage the.
Right. Yeah. Great.
Cast iron.
All right. And so, if you were going to be cooking a typical, you've got an amazing layout here of 2 different sizes of Stargazer, well 3 different sizes, but 2 different sizes of Stargazer frying pans, their brazier, 2 omelet pans from Dubai. If you were going to be cooking a typical American breakfast of bacon, eggs, hash browns, and maybe some sort of greens, what would you go about? How would you do it? What would you choose?
Okay, so great question. So we do this all the time. I had an issue with I brought up to Jed when I first started at Stargazer because the 13-inch wasn't available, and I was like, dude, 2 pans isn't enough. So Jed had graciously lent me his 13-inch trial until the 13 inches came in. So now that we have these are my 3 go-to. These, like I said, are extra for if my wife runs out and I want her cooking on that instead of Teflon. So I would cook the bacon in the 13-inch. I find it's a nice size to cook a whole package of bacon. So we cook the bacon in here, and then a lot of times my wife will do a kind of a ground beef. And cook her eggs, like steamer eggs, like poacher eggs with the ground beef. So then we would use this guy here, and we would cook the ground beef in here with a little bit of oil, but most of there's fat in the ground beef, so it's totally fine. Mix in the spinach, cook it until it's almost cooked, and then she'd put the eggs on top, and then we have. I'll grab this guy out. Since this doesn't come with a lid, we have a Le Creuset enameled cast iron pan.
What is that one? That's an O2 lid there. So that's probably like a 34 centimeter.
I don't know.
Right? No. Anyways,
but it fits.
I can get perfectly detail for you in the description.
Fits perfectly on there, so that she can poach her eggs in there. Now myself, I like my eggs, like I said, cooked in butter. My go-to pan is this guy here. So I heat it up, make sure it's nice and heated up. Put the butter in there. And then I do over easy or scrambled in that one. So that's kind of, so we do use all of them. We do have a very big range, which is fantastic. And then like I said, these guys here are backups. At lunch we haven't had a chance to clean everything, and my wife wants some more eggs or wants to fry something up, and she's got those as a backup.
So you've done all your bacon, you did a whole package of bacon. You're gonna have quite a bit of fat left over there, right?
Yeah.
Anything that you're gonna do, like if you had, say you're doing hash browns or skillet potatoes or whatever, like would you use that fat for cooking something else?
No, like sometimes we would cook our eggs in there, but I don't feel that great if I cook. It's just too much fat for us.
Okay.
If I cook my eggs in the bacon fat, I don't feel that great. So then we just let it cool off and then clean it out, and then again just go through the same process with the chainmail and hot water. Clean it out, wipe it out, heat it up, and then it's fine. So we don't use that fat. Just like the ground beef, if there's fat in the ground beef, we don't use that fat or for cooking other things because it's just too much fat.
So it seems that the only real amazing addition to this collection would be to have specific lids, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully, Peter Huntley, if you're watching, lids. I get asked for lids. I can't tell you how many times a year I get asked for lids for, not so much for the 13, but definitely the 12 and the 10. I find this guy that I use a lot. I have the number 8 field lid. Fits beautifully on here. It's a really nice fit. But I haven't tried anything on my 12. I haven't steam cooked with the 12, so I haven't tried something. You've got a great solution there with the Le Creuset lid. That's a really nice, big, heavy lid. But, even from my perspective, just a nice quality glass lid would work really well. For that type of cooking that you're talking about, I don't know if an iron lid really would matter as much. It's really just about trying to contain that steam. Right? So that's great. All right, Mike.
Awesome. Yeah, there's one more I'm adding to my collection.
Okay.
I watched one of your videos there, the Strata line.
Right, Strata.
So I'm waiting for that. It's actually in the mail right now because I'm getting a little trailer, awesome. And I'm like, well, it's an ultralight trailer. These are really heavy for my trailer.
Yeah.
So the Strata was an option that's going to be cast iron, and a little bit lighter for the trailer. So I'm excited. So then I'll be, as soon as those show up, I'll be seasoning those and getting those ready for the trailer. I do think that's a perfect application for that because, I've tried to be as clear as I can with Strata. I'm a huge fan of Strata. I promote Strata. I push that brand a lot on this channel. But if you had a collection like this, you don't need Strata, right? Maybe for their new upcoming small pan, like you could have chosen that over this, but really I would choose this over the Strata if one for the other. However, again, for your application, I try to let people understand that those are a lightweight, high quality option. So when weight is an issue, like you're trying to I don't want to fill up that trailer with heavy stuff, that is a perfect application for that. So I'm excited for you for that. But really with the Strata, when we're talking about it, for people that are just either have carpal tunnel or they just, for whatever reason, somebody's partner just doesn't want to be dealing with their heavy pants, that's when I say that Strata is fantastic. So that's going to be exciting when you get it. I'll give you something else to meditate on. There you go. Awesome.
All right, again, Mike, thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, I really enjoyed going to see Mike and learning a ton. So if you have any comments or any questions about anything we covered in this video, please leave your comments below. Thanks so much.